with a topic, which I will call tonguing versus tongue blocking. Over the years, I've seen a lot of confusion of these two techniques and these two topics, and they are very, very different. So, tongue blocking is a method of playing single notes. And what you're doing is you're putting your mouth over 3 or 4 holes. You can pick whichever one you like. And then you put your tongue on the left side of your mouth, like that. And you cover every hole except the one on the right that you want to make sound. So if I wanted to play, let's say, hole 4, blow and draw, I'd put my mouth over holes 2, 3, and 4, and then I would put my tongue over 2 and 3. See, there's my chord I get by not covering any holes. So those are all 3 holes. And I put my tongue over there. It's sort of hard to show you without the harmonica there because I don't have anything to put my tongue against. But it's basically this. And that's the way that works. Now, is that something you need to be able to do or know how to do? No, it is not. None of these things are required, except maybe being able to play one note at a time, which we like to refer to as single notes. So that's the one big thing. And tongue blocking is a very legitimate way of playing one note at a time or getting single notes. The thing that's very nice about tongue blocking, that's very fun, is that you can do some special effects and tricks with it. So if I'm tongue blocking hole 4 and I'm doing a blow and a draw, now, if I keep blowing and drawing like that, but I lift my tongue up, right? I lift my tongue up, not randomly. It's actually done at a certain time, and it takes a little bit of practice and coordination, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But watch what happens, what I can get out of that. So see what I get? I get I get this cool sound where you hear the single note, but you also hear that chord coming in, and it creates an illusion that you're playing uh, two different things at once. And over the years, I've played this for, I don't know, hundreds of people, and they would basically say, "Oh, interesting. It sounds like two harmonicas or two harmonica playing, two harmonica players." Or, "Hey, do you have like a split in your mouth? Do you have a forked tongue? Because how do you do those two different things?" It's just a trick. It's just like a little magic trick, and it's not that big a deal. Here's another little thing that's really cool about tongue blocking. It's used a lot in blues. It can be used in any style of music, but it's used a lot in Chicago blues style, which in the 50s and early 60s was most of the players were tongue blockers. And so they would get this kind of thing. Now, that's what I call delayed tongue, because that's actually what's happening. Is you're briefly playing a full chord, all those notes you've got coming out of your mouth, coming out of the harmonica, and then you slap your tongue down. So I call it delayed tongue because there weren't names for a lot of these things decades ago when I started to teach. Some people call it tongue slapping, which is legitimate too. It's all good. It doesn't really matter as long as you kind of get what that is. So Anyway, you've got with the tongue blocking, you've got again, I never had there was never an official name for this. So when I play a rhythm, let me just do this. When I play, let me just adjust. Okay, that's better. When I play a rhythm and a melody at the same time, I'm blowing and I'm exhaling, going whoo, whoo, and then I'm lifting my tongue in sort of a la 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 motion. So I call it hoo la la. Why not, right? So I'm calling that hoo la la. Um, and then you've got what I was just talking about just a second ago, delayed tongue. In blues, if I just play a really basic, what I call an almost blues scale, it's essentially the holes and notes of a blues scale without any bends thrown in there. And if I add the delayed tongue, I get. So that's pretty nice. That gives you that real kind of heavy duty Chicago blues sound. So there you go. All right, another thing that tongue blocking is really great for, and if you caught the beginning of this, I'm explaining the difference between tongue blocking and tonguing. And I haven't gotten to tonguing yet, but I will do that right after this. So another thing that's really cool about tongue blocking is you can put your tongue in the middle and then make space on both sides of your mouth and play a note out of the right side of your mouth and the left side of your mouth. And then you get, when you cover two holes in the middle and you play out of the right side and left side of your mouth, you get what is called an octave, which is very, very cool. Hear how big and fat that is. So that's a nice little thing. You could take a riff like this and add the octave at the end. I'm doing it on 3 and 6 blow. And you get that. It just really fleshes it out. It's really nice. So another thing with tongue blocking that I do, I haven't really kept up in the last 10 years or so. Maybe other people are doing it now too. But I do a thing called tongue switching, where I move my tongue to either side. So instead of, I get, but that's not commonly used or heard. That's sort of my claim to fame. That's what I do. Back in the early '90s, I was doing basically rock and hard rock stuff, and always loved what Eddie Van Halen did on the guitar with his tapping, his pull-offs and his tapping. I wanted to get a similar thing on the harmonica, and so what I did was. Just sitting around one night and thinking about the tongue switching, tongue blocking and tongue switching, I went, oh, because what Eddie was doing is basically moving, doing pull-offs on this hand and moving this hand and getting these intervals. So that's what tongue switching gives you with tongue blocking, tongue switching, an aspect of tongue blocking. So anyway, none of this stuff is required. You don't have to ever tongue block. You can always use what I refer to as the vertical slot for single notes, which is the advanced version of pucker or lipping or whistle method or lip method, whatever. There's a zillion little names for it. But the vertical slot is a more advanced version of it. So you're not using your lips to get a single note. You're blocking out the side holes with the corners of your mouth. So that's what that is. So anyway, that's a quick little introduction to tongue blocking. Now, let me talk a bit about tonguing. So They sound similar, and I've heard lots of people over the years confuse the two, but they are not the same whatsoever. So tongue blocking is done with your putting your tongue on the harmonica. Typically it's on the left side of your harmonica and you're covering two or three holes. Tonguing is not done with tongue blocking. Tonguing is done when you're doing vertical slot, or if you're not there yet with the vertical slot, then you're doing the lipping, lip block, lip blocking, whistle method, any of those zillions of names for it. So I'm doing this. My tongue is not involved at this point. Let me go to this one. Now, that is not tongue blocking. That is the vertical slot. And when I do that, my tongue is free. So my tongue can do something else if I want it or need it to do it. And that is, I'm doing what we call in the business, most people call it tonguing, or sometimes refer to it as articulation. That's always a fun word to say. So tonguing or articulation is what's going on there. And what I'm doing is I'm exhaling on hole 4 blow right there on a C diatonic. And then what I'm doing is I'm doing a ta, ta, ta motion with my tongue. So it's just like you're going to say ta, 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 ta. Notice I got my mouth open and my jaw dropped. Ta, 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 ta. And that's how you get separation between notes. And if you're not tongue blocking, that's a great way to get a repetition of notes. And it's very similar to what horn players do, trumpet players do. They do call it tonguing sometimes, or again, articulation. It's all, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's the same thing. But what I get out of that is ta, 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 ta. Now I'm finding, or I have found over the decades, that I'm doing more of a ta sound when I do the blow notes, and when I do the draw notes, I'm doing more of a da sound. And you say, okay, interesting, you've got the T and the D, but they both have the ah. Why is the ah? Because when we play harmonica, if we want a big sound, a good sound, a big fat sound, we want to open our mouth and drop our jaw. So when you do ah, 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 you basically will have your jaw down. That's what we're looking to do. And that opens up the mouth, opens up the throat, and it gives you a bigger, fuller sound. So I've got, once again, 4 blow on my C diatonic. It's a C note. Now, hear how you really hear that distinction there between the notes. And that's what we want. We want that clear, defined sound between those notes. And they're all the same note, but I'm repeating them. And I'm going to give you an example in just a second of where that's applicable. And anytime you need to play the same note a second or third time, it is applicable. You want to, if you're not a tongue blocker, you want to do this tonguing. And actually, you can do some of this when you are a tongue blocker too. Not too many people who are tongue blockers do this, but I sort of found this out by accident years ago. And so I'm going to tongue block. And I'm getting a very similar thing with tongue blocking, but that's not here or there. It's kind of advanced, and it doesn't matter. By the way, I'm talking about tongue blocking, and I'm also talking about the vertical slot method of getting single notes. One involves your tongue, the tongue blocking, the other does not. Keep in mind, most pros, most people who've been playing a long time do both. One is not better than the other. Somebody tells you that. You need to see their music degree in harmonica. They're both excellent, and what good players do is when they want a particular effect or sound, they use whichever one is going to do a better job for them. So that's the difference between those. Now, back to the vertical slot with the tonguing. So I have, and then I have, that's on 4 draw. That's a da, 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 da. And see how I'm forcing my jaw down there. That's what gives you that big, wide open sound is ta, 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 da, 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 da. It's keeping that down. It's a little weird when I do it without the harmonica. I get that. So let me give you an example. If I do row, row, row your boat, C diatonic in first position, and I'm not going to do any tonguing, and this is with the vertical slot. Now, a lot of those notes come out fine, but whenever I have to play the same note a second or third time, I struggle to get those notes to come out clean, especially if I try and do it fast. No tonguing, just vertical slot. I'm just trying to blow all those extra notes. I can't physically blow that fast, but what I can do is so there's my ta, 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 ta. That's up on 7 blow. So again, without any tonguing, I can't keep up with that merrily, 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 merrily. I can't keep up with that. The next part, life is but a dream. That's fine because it's a different hole. It's a different note each time. But when you have to play the same note a second, third, fourth, or fifth time, then you want to use the tonguing. So here's the whole song. I'll do it first slow, then I'll do it faster. And listen to the clear definition between all the notes that when I repeat them, like at the very first, row, 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 there's 3, 4 blows. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. Now I'll do it faster. So see how the notes still come out clean and clear, and that is because I'm doing the tonguing. So, as has been the point of this whole beginning of this class, tongue blocking, not tonguing. Tonguing, not tongue blocking. Tongue blocking is a special way of playing single notes and adding special effects, and tonguing is used with the vertical slot. If you're not there with the vertical slot, if you're doing lipping or lip blocking or whistle method, there's a bunch of names for it. Whatever you want to call it, you're not using your tongue to create the single note, and your tongue is free. It's easy for me to say. Your tongue is free, so you are enabled then, if you want to repeat notes like that. Okay, so that's what that is. Hey, Stefan or Stefan, hey, from Sweden, nice to see you. If you have any questions or comments or thoughts, go ahead and type them into the chat. This is a live class at this moment. The only way this won't be a live class is if you're watching this sometime after I record this. But I am streaming from Zoom into YouTube. And by the way, if you want to see more of these and attend them live, all you need to do is go to my channel, subscribe to the channel, and then go to if you go to the main page of my channel, it says home, then it says videos, and it says live. Click on live and it'll show you my past live classes and the future ones, the ones that are, as YouTube calls it, upcoming, the upcoming classes. And I think you can even hit a notification button there. And so in some way or another, YouTube or maybe a family member, I don't know, somebody will tell you that the class is coming. I assume it's going to be YouTube. Now, whether they send you an email or a direct message or some sort of, I don't know how they do it because I haven't experienced that my own self. So if you do know, you can go ahead and type that in and let me know, and then we'll all know. But anyway, so that's the difference between tongue blocking and tonguing. Hopefully that's clear. So I will, if again, oh, there's John. Any exercises for the embouchure you're using? Excellent question. And if you're talking about the embouchure, i.e., the vertical slot, yes, there is an exercise for that. If you're talking tongue blocking, not really so much, except tongue blocking. And, you just, after a while, it gets easier to do and it's not a big deal. But the vertical slot, yes, there is, excuse me, pardon me. Yes, there is an exercise for that. You can barely call it an exercise, but all you do is you open your mouth, drop your jaw, and you hold it there. That's what you do. Because what that's going to do first is stretch these muscles in your face, the masseter muscles, these jaw muscles. It's going to stretch those muscles, and if you hold it long enough, it will strengthen them also. So first thing is we stretch them, and second thing is we try to make them strong. So you can do that any time of day, any place you are. You can do it when you're driving. Just literally open your mouth, drop your jaw. And just do that. That's it. It's like, what? Is there anything really fancy I should be doing? No, just do that. And then John and Stefan and anyone else who's watching this, hey, there's a few of you watching. Over time, you will be able to do that better for the single notes when you play harmonica. And if you've been playing for a while, I'm going to assume that at least a couple of you are not brand new. If you're brand new, I try to get people doing this vertical slot, which is blocking out the side holes with the corners of your mouth, right? Or try to get people doing that from day one. If they can't get it, then I start them on what we would call the whistle method, or lipping, or lip blocking, or whatever it's called. And then if you start there, then you can graduate to slowly just opening your mouth more and dropping down your jaw. One particular note that I have found over the years, which sometimes people miss, is that when you drop your jaw down when you're playing harmonica, you don't drop it straight down like that. It's actually down and back. So you will find if you play with that, nobody can see you that I know of unless there's somebody in your house and people are going, oh, look at that guy. What a jerk. What he's doing with his jaw. If you drop your jaw down, it actually does go down and kind of slides back. Okay. Also, notice in my face, these, my muscles, those masseter muscles that are in my face there that hold my jaw down, they're pretty big. They're pretty big and they're pretty strong because I've been doing this for decades, a long, long time. And they just strengthen naturally. There's no other exercises or drills other than just drop your jaw down and hold it. And probably if you're not used to doing this, you're going to find that it's kind of a pain. It's kind of a pain to do at first. So don't overdo it. It's like anything when you start stretching or doing a sport or working out at the gym. Go easy, go slow. Don't try and do too much at once. But over a couple weeks, you should be able to get it. And then back to if you're already doing kind of the vertical slot without your jaw drop down, but you are attempting to, let's say I want hole 4, I'm blocking 3 and 5 with the corners of my mouth like that, right? So I'm blocking 3 and 5 out of the corners of my mouth. And that is the vertical slot. There was never a name for this that I'd ever heard of, so I call it vertical slot many years ago because it's what you're doing. You're literally creating a vertical slot with your mouth, and all of us naturally, whether we're playing harmonica or not, we want our mouth to be horizontal because that's just kind of the way it is. But it's the vertical part of it that allows you to get the single note. And by the way, why the vertical slot and why blocking with the corners of your mouth? When I do that, I'm not actually using my lips. You would think I would be, but I'm not. My lips aren't involved. It is, again, the corners of my mouth. And what is the massive, massive advantage of that? When I do that, see how far I can get the harmonica into my mouth? And it looks like, oh, he must be using his tongue. No, I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm initially pushing the corners of my mouth against the harmonica so they cover hole 3 and hole 5 because I'm trying to get hole 4 at this point. By the way, if you just stumbled into the video, it is a standard key of C diatonic. When I do that, when I block out the side holes with this, I can get the harmonica very, very, very far into my mouth. And that is something, whether you're doing vertical slot or whether you're actually even tongue blocking, you always want to get the harmonica as far into your mouth as you can. Why? And at the same time, of course, we are opening our mouth, expanding the oral cavity, and dropping our jaw. And what that does is it opens up the mouth and the top of the throat, expands that area so you get more of the bouncing around of the sound, and it gives you a bigger, fatter, warmer, fuller sound. So if you've been playing for a while and you don't know how the people that are really good, been playing a long time, get that sound, whether they know it or not, they're either using vertical slot or tongue blocking, but they have the harmonica further into your mouth. So if I do, see, I've got it way, way, way into my mouth. And if I just put my lips up against it to get one hole, it's thin, it's not very loud, and there's no power in there. So that's why you want to use the vertical slot versus the lipping or lip blocking or whatever we call it. So